next question is from Arlie. As a therapist, my patients are fearful of reports of ICE breaking the law and forcefully dragging people out of their vehicles. How do we respond to these reports, and what can we do?
I love it. I'm in a town hall in the Bay Area, and I get a question from a therapist. I was talking to a colleague some years ago from the South. It was a friend, Republican. I just happened to slip. You know, my therapist told me this, and he shook his head. He said, only a member of California would admit they're using a therapist. And I said, that's the problem. You're the ones who need them. He thought it was funny. Well, what I would say is, that's why we have these fairs, is there are nonprofits, there are faith communities, and there are people all through the community who want to help. But this is one of the damages that this kind of policy, what we say is important, particularly people in public office, and particularly if you're the President of the United States. You've got to be thoughtful about what you say. And sometimes people think we're too controlled, and we can be. You've got to be authentic and about yourself. But you've got to think about the consequences for people, good and bad. And I think these fear things, and particularly to this community, but to everybody, we talk about this in the office. We went from before January 20th, we got 1,000 emails a week. We now get over 5,000 emails a week. This is for 15 people between our 3 offices in DC and here. There's a lot of stress in the world right now. So there's even more stress for the community that you just brought up. So we've got to be supportive, and we've got to protect them. And we've got to allow them to have due process too. If people don't believe in the institutions, if you don't believe in the police, if you don't believe in the courts, if you don't believe in the Congress, then we don't have a democracy. You question us. That's part of America's history. There's a book by Gary Wills called A Necessary Evil, and he talks about how this country has always questioned electeds and institutions because of how we were founded. That the people who came here had seen institutions not work in England, including faith communities, when towns were supposed to be Catholic with one monarch, and then they were supposed to be Anglican with another one. So people had lost their faith in institutions. So it's part of our job to question institutions, and particularly public ones, and the people who hold office in it, from city council, not you. But on the other hand, we have to have faith that people are being truthful and honest, and if people, particularly in a position like President of the United States, isn't doing that, it creates this ripple effect that affects us all. It affects 7.4 billion people who are flying around on this little planet, and particularly the 330 million people who live in this country to varying degrees. And if you're a child and you're one of that group that's being targeted all the time, you're more impacted, and that impact doesn't go away, as the therapist knows. It stays with you for the rest of your life.